My name is Edmond. I'm a street and documentary photographer. Currently my age is 19 years old. So how do I get started in photography? So I started, actually at first I was like, I wanted to become a YouTuber. Yeah, those teenager dream. I want to be influencer, I want to be famous. Then I tell my mom, when I was 16 years old, I tell my mom, hey mom, can you buy me a camera? I want to record video, make a YouTube video. And then yeah, she buy me a Canon M50 as my first camera. So after that, I started making videos for half a year to a year, but those videos are quite shit. I feel very cringe. Yeah, and then after some time, I realized that video is not my it's not what I'm really interested in. Then I remember that I tried photography and I get a very nice photo and I like, whoa, I can make the moment become forever. Yeah. So the moment that you will see it in that moment, in that photo. And what's the next question again?
How your interest in photography developed? So you said that from video to photography just because you find that video doesn't suit you much.
Yeah.
So you discover photography, and how actually photography attract you to produce more like street photos, for example.
Actually, at first, I have no idea that I will have a so big interest in street photography. At first, I was also not shooting street. I was just shooting random photos. Like I try cityscape. I try a lot of things. Portrait a bit. Just random stuff, like anything I can shoot, I just shoot.
And then how you do? Okay, maybe from what you exhibit for the past few weeks, maybe 2 weeks, your books clearly stated that you are a street photographer. How you from that you explore so many genres of photography and then come about into really like you put an effort and go deeper in street photography? How?
Yeah, actually my first time that actually in what's the year again? 2019 I came across street photography, but I'm not that good at it at the time. I just try using a telephoto on my digital camera, shoot random stuff, people walking, and those photos are very shit when I see back now. And then 2022 I joined a photo walk called Flash on Film, who is hosted by Miru Street. And that time I understand street photography a bit and more by him, and I shot a very nice photo that time. So it enhanced my feelings of my interest more in street photography. So this is the type of photography I want to do. So I keep shooting. Eventually, street photography is the only thing I shoot now.
From the feel free to ask if you have some question. So don't make it too serious. You don't want that kind of vibe. So it's something that it's like a therapy session, but more familiar. So everybody got a chance to ask. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry.
There's
ask any
nothing wrong.
question.
When you enter Zontiga, there's no right and wrong. Everything's great. So we discuss. Okay? Yeah. Alright. So maybe you done with your first question.
Yeah.
You
Okay, my question is, Nadia J. I want to ask, what is different? As we know, there is a lot of street photographers, especially in Kuala Lumpur, right? So how you differentiate your style in street photography that other street photographers in, especially shooting in Kuala Lumpur?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of different style in street. especially there's I would say there's two different style of street photographers in KL. One of it is the telephoto, secondly is the wide angle one, who using techniques like layering, like video street also using it. It's a lot different because firstly telephoto can get good photo, but you have to push it a lot higher also. Because if you shoot normal things, anyone can get it. So you need to push your standard up. So at least you try to aim photos that other people can't really get it. It will set the value up of your photos.
So, but how you define your style of street photography? So, how you define yourself in street photography? How do you approach? How you define your style?
Okay. So how I approach? How I approach the scene is first of all I be friendly, and sometimes I approach slow, sometimes I approach fast, and if I want to shoot very close, I can just there's quite a lot of different style in how to approach, how to shoot close. One of the style I mostly use is the pretending to be shooting video. So and then your eye can look at the background, you can snap. This is one of the way that you can get very candid and very close up photos. And the composition style that I'm using is layering, complex composition. And a lot of people ask me, hey Edmond, your composition is very unique. What is the composition rules that I'm using? Is it rule of third or anything? But actually I don't really study composition rules. I'm not really sure about like 100% meaning of rule of third. I just follow my feelings. Because if you follow your feelings, you can create unique composition instead of following rules. Because rules are meant to be broken.
Thank you.
Is that by creating the complex composition, reflecting your maybe a lifestyle or something else that you want to show in your composition or photograph?
Oh, you mean like the complex? What is the meaning?
Layering, something like
that. The layering or the composition that you make in the photograph, and as you said that there's a complex, so many elements and such. Is that reflect yourself in your life?
Not really. I would say because I separate photography and my life, two different things. But I try to find emotion into my photos, because for me emotion is very important for my layering photos. I try to find emotion when that's possible, because also in my childhood time I also didn't feel too much of love. So I'm going to share a bit my life story also lah. So when I was a child, when I was a baby, I never see my father once. He said that when I 12 years old, he will come back. But yes, he come back, but it's at the court, want to divorce. Huh?
Sorry, can you speak louder?
Oh, okay, speak louder. Okay.
Yeah, thank
so,
you.
okay, so when I was a baby, I never met my father once until when I was 16 years old. Because when I was baby, he made promise to my mom that okay, I will come back when I was 16. Because he worked in he's a chef in the cruise ship, the big travel boat ship. And when I was 13, he really come back, and I was very looking forward to it, because oh, my dad is coming back, finally I can meet him, maybe he will buy me a lot of gifts. Yeah, and then when I first saw him at the court, he never come and hug me. which it gives me a big emotion punch. Yeah.
So that's how you translate all the emotion into your
Yeah.
photograph.
I
This
try
is
to
how
find
you-
rasa sayang, the happy, the love, family love into my photos. So that's why I make rasa sayang book. One of the reasons.
Understand. Okay, any further question? Maybe we can move to the next question. Question 2. Okay, Edmond, this is your opportunity to actually to talk more about your photo books and how you came about this project. Maybe we already know about how you came about the project, how you projecting your personal conflicts into your work. So maybe you can walk us through about your your
The
project,
process.
your photo book, the process. You can share it now.
So the first process is getting the photos, the content for the book, obviously. So just going out for street whenever I can. So the most of the spot that I'm going is Dataran Merdeka, because at night there's a lot of action, family moments happening there, and Kuala Lumpur, KLCC also have family enjoying their time at there. So I will go there very frequently, get the content I want, but I will search complex layering with emotion in them. Like the time Merdeka there's a lot of bubbles. Sometimes I will try to use the bubbles to frame the subject.
So, how you came about this project? I mean, like, you from your personal conflict, and then you decide to do this photo book. So, what makes you want to produce a photo book? Why you choose this medium, like photography books?
Because now most of photographers, they just post at IG. It's also okay to look at phone now, but when they create something physical, you can feel the print, you can see more of the detail, the texture, you can look at the photo longer. And with photo book, you also can sequence photo. I try to sequence the photo in a synchronized way. So you can, when you open another page, you can feel that photos are synced together.
Do you enjoy the process?
Yeah. I print photos, 4R photos, and stick it to my wall. I slowly sequence it. If I don't like it, I just take it away or try to sequence again.
I saw you have some presentation prepared for the
Yeah.
session. Maybe you can walk us through.
Yeah, we just skip a bit. So my process about making a rasa sign, firstly, the first step is getting the photos, like I said just now, and then the most important process is about the sequencing, which is the most important for photo books. So this is my bad. So I print the photos and I how to say that word? How to say that word?
What word?
The
You can speak in Malay.
整理 how to say 整理 tidy the tidy the photos, like some of the same photos I just put it at the same location, so I know it's there and I don't have to find it. So it won't take a longer time for me to find the photos I need. Actually, when I put it like that, after that I will sync the photos, something like this, to my bag first, so it's easier for me to take out and put it there. Because if I want to stick at wall, I need to tape and untape, tape and untape. So I try to sequence it this way. So my book is 2 photo, like something like this. Okay. So it's a 2-page. So I try to sync it like that. Then sync it like that. Bubble. Okay. Yeah, actually this is still a mock-up lah, so some of the photos is not very nice syncing, so might will change the photo for the final version. Then what's the next question?
Relax. No think or
Do you have any question like how I sequence the photo?
Yeah, sorry. How come you chose to work both in black and white and color together?
Yeah. I get the question a lot. Actually, I'm also not very sure. Yeah, but yeah, it's best to focus in black and white or full black and white or full color. But
Is it just an instinct for you to just do it?
yeah, I didn't really care about the color in black and white, but I try to sing it as nicely so it won't feel like a bit suddenly black and sudden color. I also try to sing it. There's a lot of syncing, which I take a photos. Like this girl, he's looking at the car, looking from outside. But where could she be looking at? Maybe she looking at these two kids playing hide and seek. So I try to sing it, and this the kittens at here and the cat mother at here, and the kittens at here. So I try to sing it, so it won't feel like sudden a bit disorganized.
Edmond, for me, while you syncing the photos, what type of narrative or what type of story that you actually want to fix your audience to flow into? Maybe a story about life, or maybe because it's something that if you say like that, it's something like you're trying to fixing the audience to go into macam orang kata like fiction stories, like you know, the kids looking at people like playing hide and seek. It's like you're trying to sequence in something like a story. So what type of story that you want to tell the audience by sequencing in that way that you just said just now? There's no right and wrong. We just want to know why, you know, because it's fun because photobook is something like you write an essay. They got introduction, they got some plot, you know, how people evolve from one plot to another plot. So based on what you're trying to tell to us just now, it's like you plotted some stories like kids, you know, hiding behind the car and then
I try to find like a story like happiness, some maybe family love. Because happiness, family love, I think it's also part of rasa sayang.
Edmond, one question. We have a concern when shooting children. You have a concern like people will get angry to you. Later when you watch it, people will question why you shoot these children.
Actually,
to add to a middle question, because normally in nowadays practice, children picture is quite, you know, sensitive, especially because it's oftenly get backlash because if it's appear in media, they got blurred, the kids photo got blurred or censored. So how you
Isn't there like a UNICEF guideline for photographic children?
Yes.
Yeah, there is, right? Yeah.
So maybe Amirul want to ask how you counter that perception, how you actually answer to that type of question if people have that.
Some of the photos, because when I shoot it, I don't hide myself. Show to people that I photograph. So some of the photos, the parents are very well aware that I'm taking photos. But sometimes I connect with the parents. I will, if I get nice photos and the timing also nice, I will ask them. Saya boleh say do gambar. I will ask them for their phone number, send them the photos after I done. Sometimes I will print a small print and give it back to them like instant photo print. So it's like you happy, me happy, we make friends.
My friends. Okay. Thank you Edmond for answering that. Really. You want to walk through more on whatever is left on your laptop? Do you have more to share?
Oh yeah, my next book project. Okay. So my next book project, I want to make my best street photo collection into a book, but I'm not sure the theme yet. Because I'm still figuring out.
Maybe, but the best photo is already a theme.
Yeah, but actually I need to think that the book name also. Yeah.
I see.
Because the book name is a hard part. Because I cannot put like Edmond best collection of photos, right? Because that one feels really
Greatest
everything.
hits.
Yeah, so yeah, try to think of a interesting name.
Okay. About that previous project, Rasa Sayang, you plan to continue and finish it, or how you see this production of Rasa Sayang? Do you want to make it available to the public to purchase it in the future?
I will try it. Yeah, because I also want to change some things inside also. Maybe more text, context, those stuff.
Thanks. Yes.
So this is still in editing or technically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything you want to share more? Or maybe the audience want to ask Edmond?
Hi, I'm Sati.
Okay.
I want to ask about your Rasa Sayang book. Do you plan before you shooting the Rasa Sayang story before you shooting or after you're shooting, and then you thinking you are doing something with the photos that you have to photo?
Oh yeah, actually when the first lockdown opened, the COVID lockdown opened, I really have the plan of document children happiness during the after pandemic life. And at the time I never thought of making a book at the time. I just want to document the moments. Maybe in the future I can create a book. Maybe. Yeah.
So it's already a book. Maybe
Yeah.
you can, what is going on about this book?
So you mean the meaning behind the story?
I mean, Sadiq asked about how you does you plan does you
Plan it before you're shooting, or after a while you got a series of pictures and then you're thinking that you're gonna make a book out of all the pictures that you do.
I didn't really plan, but I have a vision of getting the moments first, and then after a while I shoot a lot of almost that kind of happiness, family love photos, and I think maybe I can create a book in the future. So I shoot more, get more content, and now a book.
I want to ask more. Then so you said that you shoot first, and then after a while you get idea to make a book out of it. So how do you come up with Rasa Sayang theme? Of course you're shooting a lot and not just about the thing that you shoot, right? So how you come up with that topic, the title?
The title, oh shit. Actually, I don't know how to express words into story. So I get some help on the ideas. Because I also not very good with words. That's the thing. So I have a group named Perspective Collective. So I tell them my idea, and I ask, do you guys have any good topics or title for the book? Yeah. And suddenly one of the members say, Rasa Sayang. Oh shit. Wow, so easy. You so fast thought of it. Yeah bro, you see the photos already, it's have that Rasa Sayang feel, then I just go with the Rasa Sayang name.
Any question. Maybe one last question before we move to Antoine. No? No, okay. Thank you, Edmond.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Antoine. I was born in Penang. It's okay. I'm half French, half Malaysian. So that's where the funny name comes from. And yeah, I mean, I guess as a photographer now, I'm mostly, I'd say documentary-based photography practice, but there's a little bit of this and that here and there, working with archival materials and that kind of stuff. But that's now. I'm talking about a few years ago. So how I got into photography, I guess, was my grandparents, both my granddads were pretty into like video and photo equipment, I guess. So they'd have like cameras and camcorder kind of things when I was growing up. So I had a lot of exposure to that kind of work, I guess. And then one thing led to another, and then eventually down the line I found old cameras in the closet and I wanted to use them, so I started using them. And then I mean, it just kind of spiraled out of control, as a lot of other photographers, I'm sure, can relate. So yeah, then eventually, like most people who don't know what to do with their life, I did mass comm. So that was a good environment to kind of try out different things, because you do advertising, you do sociology kind of stuff, but then you also do video and you do photo and web kind of stuff, so it's a good kind of creative exploration. And I latched onto photography the most, so after that I shipped myself off to Melbourne and I did my bachelor's, which is where these two books came out from. And then now I'm back here. So that's in a nutshell how I got into photography.
Maybe you can tell us about your photo books and how you came about the project, because I think it's one is from Australia.
Yeah, so both of them are a little bit actually quite different. So the first one I did was this one. So this is called I'll Love You and Leave You, and it was made between the period of time where I was going back and forth from Malaysia and Melbourne quite frequently for visiting home, and then I'd go off to study for a little bit more and then come back for visits on the holidays and that kind of stuff. So it was kind of looking at the time, I feel like I didn't really know what I was capturing. I guess I was just going with feeling and seeing what kind of fit together. It was a bit more of an emotive kind of journey, but now that I've had a few years to kind of look back at it, it was very much about kind of being between two places and not really having a strong middle ground, I guess, because like as a mixed kid, even growing up in Malaysia, not talking about going out to study overseas yet, it was that kind of, I don't really fit in Malaysia, but I don't really fit in my case, Europe or something like that. So it's that kind of weird in the middle feeling. And then I kind of explored that more when I was going back and forth from Melbourne. So it's, looking at kind of identity, I guess, and where I kind of fit into that. So it's called Love You and Leave You because it's kind of like a love letter, but at the same time it's kind of a protest. Like, I want to love this country and I want to feel like I belong, but there's a few things that make me feel like I don't, or are hard to love, I guess. And trying to find the connection amongst the stuff that I don't feel connected to. Yeah.
Maybe you can elaborate what type of connection that you trying to establish.
I mean, it's kind of hard to explain because it's very from my feeling, but it's just connection in general. Like a lot of people I see feel very connected to the idea of being Malaysian or being from a place. It doesn't have to be Malaysia. I mean, this is like about, where you sit by yourself in the world, right? Like we find connection through the fact that we all like photography, and so that's an aspect of it. But for this, it was more a sense of where do I come from, or where can I say that I am from. Yeah, I think. But it's interesting looking back at it, because at the time I didn't really understand what I was looking at. I mean, I would capture some photos and stuff like that, and I think they look nice, or I'd feel happy with them. But now that I look back at it, it was kind of very clearly about wanting to leave, or wanting to just find something, I guess.
What makes you want to leave, and what makes you miss to stay?
I mean, like, I didn't want to get political about the book.
You can, because there's a gray area.
Yeah, we've got some good news at least. But I mean, I didn't want to make the book about politics, about that kind of stuff. But like, there are certain things I tried to look at where, like, there's a lot of racial kind of segregation. Just kind of the way I feel culture and arts don't really get as much of a voice compared to places overseas. But then the parts that I love about it is that, like, it's, even despite all that, like, Malaysia is still a very community-based and driven place, right? Like, we go eat together, and we go visit each other's houses, and we offer each other food and drink and stuff, and it's very communal in that sense. So it's trying to find the community in
Okay, I understand. Maybe after you leave for Australia, and then going based on these books, when you leave and then you reflect back, what do you see from Australia perspective, from where you live in Australia, and how do you see Malaysia back then?
I mean, that's what this was kind of looking at. It's like, because I was able to kind of get different perspectives and stuff like that. I was fortunate enough, and just looking back at why I felt I wanted to leave, because when you're here, it's like, I want to get out and I want to do different things, but then once you're away, it's like you feel still pulled back and you want to kind of stay. So that's kind of the basis for that, I guess. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. If anyone.
Feel free. I mean, like, you guys can.
Why would you choose the photos as a cover?
Why I chose this?
Yeah.
I mean, because I was.
Any?
I mean, I was young and still a bit literal, so that's why I chose the cover. But I mean, that's kind of what I felt like, right? Like, you're pulled between two sides, like, kind of suspended in the middle. It's that kind of feeling that I at least felt like I had, so I felt like that summed it up nicely. So that's why there's no, like, title on the front as well. I just wanted the photo to speak.
Two questions,
Yeah.
or one after the other. First one is, what year was this book?
I don't know. This was 2017, maybe?
Okay.
2017.
So then maybe three questions. Was the book form intentional? Now in hindsight, do you feel the bookshop form was intentional?
Yeah. I mean, I knew I wanted to make like a book, or at least like a book project. But I didn't really know what it was necessarily going to be about. So when I was shooting at the time, I thought it was going to be this nice, I was into street photography and stuff like that, like, quite a bit then as well. So I wanted to do a bit more of that, but a bit in my way. But then I found myself not liking the stuff that I typically would have liked before that. And then, I was more attracted to these weird, like, dark corners and, like, badly lit, like, bread shop uncles and stuff like that. And, like, looking back at why I was attracted to that, it's very kind of clear that that's the kind of Malaysiana, right, that we kind of experience and we know. So like those are the kind of things that I was drawn back to.
Okay, so then the third question to that is that now, 5 years later, how differently would you have made the book?
How differently would I made the book? I would have
Because
spent.
we all feel differently about the work in hindsight, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so, how differently would be what are those thoughts that have been sort of like simmering with you?
I would have spent more money on printing. For one, but I mean, I don't know. I've gone back at it a couple of times and maybe I was like, maybe I shouldn't have included that in this sequence, or maybe this photo doesn't say the same thing, or it says too much of the same thing. But
So editing choices.
editing choices, but also at the same time, I'm like this. It speaks to what I was
At the time.
then, so I try not to nitpick too much about it, because obviously I know a bit more things, and I know I've seen other people's books and the way things have progressed, and obviously like our aesthetics and stuff change. But yeah, I mean, just editing wise, I guess I would have taken out a couple of things, but yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you question? I guess this might overlap into your second book as well.
Yes.
But was there a particular consideration into the aspect ratio of the book? Because like when you look at the book, right, yeah, like even the page you open up, it's very much a 3:2 aspect ratio image, right? And then so you kind of lean into this very much unrelenting to the fact that there's going to be a lot of negative space, right? So did you have a particular like did you want that negative space, or did you want that aspect ratio first?
I mean, I've always been partial to like vertical books. Does that make sense? Because I just don't like when a book is like this and it sticks off the shelf. I think it's a little bit ugly, but that's just me. But yeah, so the reason I kind of went for that was on a lot of the vertical shots that I liked. I wanted them to be full bleed. And I felt like they worked a little bit better like this, and then the quieter moments, like I was showing earlier with the bread uncle, and kind of these like little moments in between, like they weren't as important as I felt as most of the vertical shots were. So it was just kind of they kind of fed into each other, if that answers the question. Like if it was form first or subject first, it was a little bit of both. So yeah, sorry if that's not a very helpful answer.
Any more question?
Sorry.
Yep.
So you've done 2 books, right?
Yes, this is just the first one.
That's the first one, the
Yeah.
second one. And you were talking about sense of belonging, where
Yeah.
you come from. You don't fit in here because you're half French, half born in Malaysia. So
Yeah.
after doing both of these,
Mhm.
right? With the second book, you see yourself evolve. Have you found that that you belong somewhere, or is it still an ongoing process?
You
with
see,
it?
that is where the third book comes in.
I knew it.
It's a great way to sell books.
But we'll get to that later. But we'll get to that later. But yeah, I mean, like this was kind of more of in retrospect. Like I see that this was kind of about my identity and belonging and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, for me, I don't feel like this answered anything to myself. It was just kind of an exploration of the feeling, and that kind of is still pretty open-ended. Yeah.
Maybe you
I guess
can
that's a
share.
segue to the.
Oh yeah, maybe you can talk about the second book too, because
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. So this is book 1, and then this is book 2. So this is this is called Lines of Flight. So this was shot over the course of a year, during my final year in Melbourne. So yeah, it was basically looking at how, as people were kind of linked or like drawn to the concept of flying or of flight. So it was just like a year of looking and meeting different people who were pilots, or they went skydiving, or they owned birds, or they flew those like FPV like drone things, and they get all like VR intense with it. So it was pretty interesting. So yeah, it was just kind of looking into that. So I was super enamored with like Alex Soth stuff. So I got a large format and I did the whole large format thing and traveled in the car and had my notes on the steering wheel, that kind of stuff. So really kind of embodying the so
The steering wheel. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. So yeah, I went full on for that. But yeah, like realizing when I was putting together some stuff, or at least my thoughts for this talk, a lot of my work seems to be about self-identity, or about the identity that we kind of maybe collectively have, because all of these photos eventually turned out to be just people who wanted to kind of, I guess, escape, right? Like, it's the idea of flight is quite escapist already, but then a lot of the people that I met or who I interviewed or photographed, you know, they were either retired and they needed something to do, they needed places to belong, so they joined this club, or like, you know, we all fly radio controlled helicopters, and that's cool, so we get together on the weekends and we have a few beers, we fly helicopters. It's not that safe, but but yeah, so it's stuff like that that I think it's been interesting looking back and seeing the intention of the work and stuff. So yeah. You can pass this around as well.
So maybe while they look at your book, maybe you can share about how the process of making wine. Maybe you can start from how you choose the pictures to be in a form of books.
I mean, the process was kind of similar to what Edmond was explaining. Like, I just printed everything like on cheap 4R photo paper, or just even like just regular printer paper A4, just because you know what your image looks like and you just want to see what everything looks like next to each other. So same thing, I tape stuff up to the wall or get some blue tack and put it on the like a tile or something, and then yeah, slowly from there you just, for me, I was interested, especially in the more recent one, the blue book, just looking at sequencing and seeing how, because they were mostly one image per page, and I wanted to see how that kind of continued through, whereas the other book was kind of closer to Edmond's one as well, where you had either two photos or you had one big full bleed, and yeah, just looking at the sequencing and looking at how I could get things to talk to each other, but like through each page. Yeah.
I see. So what is your goal producing wine? Like, how you want to, how and where you want to carry this book? I mean, like, you want to
I mean, both of these books were more produced as kind of like an artist book. So I was never gonna, I think each of them I only made about 10 copies, which was just for me, for family, for like display, for this kind of stuff, for example. But yeah, I mean, thinking of it, looking back, I kind of enjoy the work, and I might make like a zine edition, you know, just like something that's really quick and easy to give out to people, or more accessible. But yeah, I mean, because I wanted them to be kind of the way that I like them, like with the nice hardcover, like that one has a nice tipped in front image. I got a like embosser, debosser, I don't know which way it, emboss, deboss, whichever, for the little airplane in the corner for the first one. And yeah, like I like sacrificing those little design choices that I felt wanted to make the book feel more complete was more worth it than producing like, you know, 50 books maybe that were kind of a bit more like stale. Yeah, but that was just me, because I knew that these weren't going to go to like general public anyway. But yeah, if I'm thinking about it now, then obviously all these little details obviously add to the overall cost of making the book, so I wouldn't go that in depth.
I see.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you want to officially publish it, or you want to self-publish it? Well,
I mean,
which one do you prefer?
I would prefer self-publishing, but it takes a lot more effort and a lot more, you gotta make it rain a little bit, so yeah, but that it's kind of one thing I've been a bit conscious with my most recent project that I'm working on now is if you typically want to take something to a publisher, I feel that it has to be quite accessible to the general public. So if I'm making a book that's a bit overly abstract or it's talking a bit too deep about certain concepts, it's a bit harder for the publisher to then say that, okay, we're going to publish this and then produce it, because the audience might not be as wide as they want. So it's kind of that, like, I have to ask myself, am I making a book for us photo nerds who like awesome cool paper and nice printing and like, oh, look at the tooth on that paper stock and stuff, but or am I making it for the public? And it's kind of the intention of where I want that to go. I'm still struggling with that, like, on this current project. So
what
yeah.
is your current project? I mean, like, currently what type of, maybe you can share if you don't mind sharing current projects.
Yeah, so the next project I'm doing, so on my mom's side, she's Serrani, so that's like, mix of Portuguese and Dutch and stuff, like the first sort of colonial settlers who came to Malaysia through Penang and through Malacca. Their kind of lineage is called Serrani now. So it's kind of looking into that portion of the family and kind of the different ways that people identify as Serrani, because there are very many different interpretations and the way that people interpret the idea of the Serrani identity. So it's kind of looking at all those different avenues. So what makes Serrani to one person and another person. So I'm still kind of working similar to how I was working with Lines of Flight, but a bit more in depth in terms of I'm looking a lot into the archive now. Still shooting large format, but it's all black and white. So just it's a big headache.
How about the one that I Love You, I Leave You? Would you continue that one?
I think that one's done. I mean, but I would like to hope that once all my stuff is kind of in the book, I'm done. That's like my full stop. Is that once they're in the book, I try not to dwell on it too much. I want to kind of move on to the next thing. So the book is a really good way for me to just kind of say, like, you know what, that's done. Yeah. So because it's
maybe another
it's physical.
perspective
It's
of it.
yeah.
Another perspective to counter the
Maybe like a set of books. You wanna fund my set of books?
We'd love to, but let revisit this next year. So for the audience, do you have any question? Any question you want to ask? Maybe don't be too serious.
I just found out PSC and I was like, what's the next place about?
That's why the photo books come out.
Everybody want to ask or
Preach.
All good?
All good.
Cool.
It's very hard to get Antoine up.
We can chat outside later, don't worry.
No more? No? Okay, thank you Antoine for
Thank you.
sharing the project. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you Nadia for coming.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you
for
so
being late.
much. We happy to have you here on this session. So so to refresh, so every panelist been given like four set of questions
Yep.
that
Okay.
we already shared to you, that 4 questions. So okay, so without further ado, we go to the first question.
Okay.
Can you talk about yourself and how you get started in photography and how you interested in photography developed?
Oh, okay. I started photography ever since maybe high school, and then as usual, and then I actually got serious about it maybe after college, and then I discovered other sort of, I mean, after college I tried, back in high school I used lomography and all that, and then the point and shoot camera, and then because at that time digital is quite new and it's very expensive, digital camera. And then it was after high school, after college, that I managed to get my first digital camera, and then I experimented more, and then I guess and then I discovered black and white photography, which I love better than color photography. And then from the internet, I discovered other people from normal homes. I think the first few people Malaysian that I discovered was Nadia Zakaria back then. Yeah. Back then her photography was more moody and dramatic. Unlike now, more colourful and flowers, but still there's some kind of dramatic effect to it. And then and then I did just basic research on my own of other people. I discovered Japanese photographer, and then typical lah, Daido Moriyama semua tu. And then but the one that I liked was Hiroshi Sugimoto. You correct me if I'm wrong, because his style was minimalistic and more how do you say that? What's that word for not minimalistic? Macam lagi susun. More symmetrical. Yes. Thanks, KG. Yes. Yeah. And then so I guess that's how and then how I started the book, because I wanted to join this workshop, and then I don't have a portfolio to show what kind of photography that I did. So a good friend of mine then he volunteered to help me do the book, and my portfolio, and somehow the portfolio turned into a book, which I brought to that photography festival back then. And then we see a pattern there from my the kind of photos that I like to take. And then so I don't in my case, I don't really mind what kind of camera, what kind of whether it's digital or it's film, because some of the photos that I took, I use phone camera, and back then tak ada iPhone kan, back then just random phone. So and then basically that's it lah. Can't remember. Sorry, I'm rambling. I don't know what I'm talking about lah.
It's okay.
Oh my god, I do.
Maybe
you can pass it around if you want.
KG,
how do you have
this
that?
one is
I have all your work.
one of the earliest, right? Maybe you guys want to see it as we have been.
No, that's the second one. That's the
second one.
This is the first one.
Yeah. So Nadia, maybe you can talk about your photo books. Maybe because it start as a portfolio.
Yeah,
book,
like that one, the portfolio.
and how it developed into end. This is the end.
This is the end because that's my nickname back in Flickr last time, and for Nadia, and for the end.
Yes.
And for whatever lah. So we couldn't find a name for it, what to call it, because at first there's no name for it because it's supposed to be portfolio. So after that, why don't we just put end, and then is this the end?
Is this the end?
Is this the end as in is this the end of the? Is it the end of something, or is this the end as is this me and as in and referring to me? So that's how it happened. And then from the collection of photos that I showed to my friend, we discussed what to put, where to how to arrange to sequence the images to make it more coherent and make more sense when you open it. I hope it makes sense when you see it, but yeah, it's supposed to be that way.
It does. I mean, the book has been viewed in many audience. I mean, ever since it was published, I think in 2013, 2012.
Yeah, 2013. I think. Yep.
It was going around in Singapore, Indonesia, and
Photobook Show Singapore, right?
Yeah, it was exhibited there, 2013. So the audience that came across your book, they will ask about you know, something that the feeling of, I mean, some sort of like there's something going on about emotion.
Yeah.
Reflects your visual. So how do you maybe you can share how those type of feeling gives the audience some, you know, they macam reflects that type of feeling when people view your photos.
Well, first you can tell me what you feel when you look at the photo book.
It's a more
What kind of feeling?
it's a feeling of death. The animal book, something like that.
Bring the accordion.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's not the one here.
Hey, you guys can feel free. I mean, like, jangan serious. That's the main element of this discussion. You guys can feel free to interrupt and then ask something. Yeah.
So
The question is just merely a guideline so that we have a flow. So in between, you guys can interrupt and ask if you guys want to ask about anything. Maybe
okay.
continue.
About the book.
About the image making, how what maybe why you intend to produce this is the end.
It's not intentional actually. It's just the kind of photos that I like to take. Because last time I used to like this stumble. Because back then I don't really. I mean I use more public transport and I can explore more. So that's how I stumble upon like more like dead birds and whatever.
Encounters.
Encounters lah. So I just take photo like kadang-kadang guna phone macam okay dead bird. So I pun have a collection of dead birds photos. It's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
And then and then what else do I like to take back then? At one time I was obsessed with going to cemeteries and just I mean not basically it's more like to Christian cemeteries rather than the Muslim one because Christian one seems more interesting than the Muslim one. So I just take photos and then when I collect all of them together, it's just there's a theme there, like a certain theme, and somehow it's about our existence, life, death.
Question about existence.
Somehow lah, but it's not intentional lah. But but maybe back then I'm more angsty, more.
Yeah.
Oh thanks. That's my best friend. Yeah, she knows me better. So more angsty, more questioning, and more all those sort of stuff lah. Existential issues.
Existential. And then now, do you have if you reflect back your work after 10 years, how do you see it?
It feels like it feels like it's from another lifetime, like from another person. It's familiar but strange. So I don't know how quite to ask it. It's familiar but it's strange. And I don't know where she went, whether the problem is solved or not. And she's still there, but yeah.
Sorry, question.
Yes.
All these years you take photos, right? I've been itchy by myself. Right, this is the only time I can answer questions. We're not best friends, yeah? Only a serious guy. All this how we do it. Do you see yourself evolve? Daripada dulu kita agak gambar when we started.
Evolve in what sense?
Photos, meaning do you see yourself evolve from one to another person, or do you see yourself still evolving? Or is there come up to a point like, look, this is my style, this is how I fit in, and this is it? Or is it constantly experimenting, even though at this age?
Yeah, but I think at this stage now, I'm no longer experimenting. I'm quite comfortable with what I know what I like and my kind of style, but I just don't do it anymore because I just don't do it anymore. No time.
That I know.
No time.
I mean, you still
I tried.
you still wanted to produce. I mean, like there's
I have a plan to like make a photo book of like continuation from this book, this then but because or from the other or the accordion. And then I wanted to do something about motherhood. Since I'm now a mom, I have it's still in the hard drive, still but I haven't done anything about it yet. So motherhood, mental health
and motherhood.
Yeah.
I
mean like back to the process of making photobook. From portfolios and then this is the end. I mean like this is the end exists in many form. I mean like
Two form je
they
kan,
got
ni Adam. Dua
one,
form kan.
they got no. I mean like they got accordion, they got
No,
design,
accordion is
different.
accordion is a different.
Different.
book.
Okay.
It's the undiscovered self.
So
From
okay.
persona.
So
Ada 5 lagi kalau nak beli.
okay, I mean like okay, maybe you can tell maybe you can describe more about what books that you have. I mean like you have portfolios, do you have This Is the End? Do you have No Way?
No, the one is from
this
the
one.
Zine. Is the second version of the Zine.
The new one.
Where is the Zine just now?
Maybe we
Someone-
can susun first.
Aku ada sini, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, the one from the Zine. So
Maybe we can
The one
see.
I brought.
yeah. So it's
Somewhere.
yeah, tak apa. It's okay. It's actually the same content,
I
but
see.
different form of publication printing.
So each publication.
Because that one is quite a hassle to do.
Oh, I see. That one is made by
Shafiq.
Shafiq Alim.
Yeah.
Okay. So they exist in different format, different.
just to
So each one of them intend to do to which audience and to address what issues or maybe statement, what statement.
wait, each one of my
Oh, yeah,
work.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Like I said, it's not that is this the end.
Existential.
It started off as a portfolio, and then someone suggested, hey, why not make it into a photo book? At that time, a photo book is quite a strange concept here, because we see photo book is the photo book from the wedding album, coffee table book. So people don't really take into consideration how to make it visually coherent and like there's a storyline to it somehow, because you're trying to tell us some sort of story or message without words. So it's just you have to look visually, and then hoping that other people who sees it can read what you're trying to say.
Yes.
So because different people have different interpretation of what the content is
How
about
the
lah.
story going to be?
Yeah. So with the other one is Nowhere is from my work when I did a workshop at Obscura.
Okay.
Yeah.
The workshop, dia punya mentor who's that?
It was Maggie.
Maggie Stable. Oh, okay. Right, I never seen that.
2 times.
Yeah, first time because I got kencing
She
tikus
was
kan.
sick, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that contribute a lot to my existential.
Yes, okay.
And then for the accordion is the undiscovered self. It's more personal, touch more on families, relationship and questions and that. And then I did that for this exhibition back in 2015. It's Persona. So yeah.
Okay.
So that one I don't sell it because it's accordion leceh nak buat.
Understand. Okay.
So, yeah.
From the audience, do you have anything to ask? Jadi, Fitri.
Yeah, any questions?
It's very hard to get Nadia actually, because after 10 years, after 10
Bila next work. Yeah, like I said lah, I got that collection of photos, but I haven't done anything yet.
Is this the new end?
No, it's different. Hafiz tak ada, mana Hafiz? Hafiz supposed to help me about yang motherhood tu.
Oh, okay.
Because then to do photo books you need money also, kan? Publish.
Okay, maybe about publishing photo book, maybe it goes to Antoine and Edmond too. How do you find, I mean like photo book making is not cheap. So how you guys maneuver, to publishing something, even though it's something that macam susah lah nak keluar duit,
Yeah.
It's hard
Money.
to get money. How you guys do about it?
I'm not like
an economics student, so I don't know. Man, like,
I mean, like,
I just don't eat like.
I mean, would you agree that it's hard to publish it here because first the material and then second is expensive?
The biggest issue for me, and enlighten me if anybody else knows, but like I can't find a good printer.
Oh yeah, that's number one issue.
So
Yeah, so I mean, like for me, that's the biggest issue because you can order in paper and you can order in all that kind of stuff and
Bring back Shafiq. Bring back Shafiq.
kind of stuff. But like, yeah, a good printer is hard to come by. So if we're talking about that, you have to then look overseas. The closest is like Singapore or something.
Or
And
Indonesia.
it's expensive. Yeah, it's really expensive.
Indonesia has quite a lot of photo books published.
yeah, I mean like
DIY.
nowadays Indonesia is quite progressive because they got a lot of publishing house. They got different type of printers that actually supports.
You can actually get a sample sent to you back.
Yes,
But
yes.
it's a long process, like going back, mailing back and forth, print sample.
I guess it's just knowing that you're in for some hurt, and preparing however you feel is best.
Nadia? Same, sama.
Yeah, printer issue.
Printer issue.
So it's printer. Because you can get material and all that you can get just the printer.
See.
Having a
Edmond, how about you? How about you? I mean, young perspective.
Yeah.
Young. What do you think?
You need publish your book.
Yeah. What is macam? Is it because of money? Is it because of printer? It's hard to find good quality one.
I think mix or main point is money.
Money.
Money. Yes,
It's all about
exactly.
Money, printer issues, materials. Guys, any other question you want to ask Nadia?
Match the curve, the shades for me.
No?
You never get that.
Future project tak ada Nadia. Itulah yang
Tak ada,
tu.
so far tak ada.
Tak ada.
Gambar pun dah kurang.
How people go, macam maybe like around here macam are they still new? How they going macam ni diorang nak tengok your work or how they can reach you?
I don't know, I'm not really on social media other than Instagram.
So
But even on social media pun, my son has taken over my Instagram. Yeah, so and then my website is pretty much dead other than the Tumblr. So yeah, I haven't been posting any photos. To be honest, I haven't shared any new works, but I do have some. But it's just
I've
that
seen some portraits.
yeah, but it's but it's just I haven't shared it to the public yet. Maybe.
So would you need a forum for that?
What sorry?
I mean like a forum, a premise that to show your work
No,
somewhere. Not yet.
not yet.
Not yet.
Not really yet. Cause somehow, yeah.
So maybe anybody who actually want to know about Nadia book or Nadia work, you can
Just ask.
Alright,
Look or ask lah.
look, ask. Maybe after this, maybe you can spend time and ask Nadia more if you would want to ask in this session. So I think thank you Nadia
Okay,
for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you Antoine. Thank you Edmond for coming for sharing with us about your